Well, protests have just begun in several Spanish cities as thousands of people make clear their anger and upset over a lack of warning before the floods in Valencia, which killed at least 219 people 10 days ago. These are live images from Valencia this evening. Survivors say they felt completely abandoned in the aftermath. There are calls for the regional president to resign. Also questions for Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez over why a national text alert warning system was not triggered in advance. Let's go to Madrid, because there's also a protest tonight in Puerta del Sol. Let's talk to Sarah Morris, our correspondent there. Sarah, set out what's happening across several Spanish cities, including where you are this evening.
Well, people want to protest and show their anger against that regional president, Carlos Mazón. And you can probably see behind me, we're at the Puerta del Sol in Madrid. And there's a large crowd there, and they're carrying all sorts of banners saying, Mazón, resign, Mazón, your deaths, Mazón to prison. And many of them say that they think that at least some of those 220 deaths could have been avoided. And of course, the search teams and the volunteers are still out in Valencia looking and trying to find 78 people who are still reported missing. There's a lot of protests, the main one, of course, in Valencia city. But here in Madrid, people wanting to come along to show their solidarity and call for the resignation of Mazón, who belongs to the People's Party. They have two main beefs with him. Why didn't he cancel his agenda on that fatal Tuesday? Why didn't he stay on top of the flooding that was happening? And it is his job to send out the regional alert that went, a text alert to people's phones telling people to take shelter, not to make any unnecessary journeys. And despite the national weather forecaster warning as early as 7:30 in the morning that there was a red alert on parts of Valencia and people should be very careful, that was not picked up by the regional government, and it did not activate that text messaging until much later in the day. And the second thing they say is he should have asked and planned better and asked for more resources from the army. The Prime Minister sent those soldiers in. At the moment, we've got more than 9,000 troops in Valencia. And that's a really huge rollout of troops in peacetime. In fact, probably we haven't seen those sort of troops deployed by Spain even to conflict zones where they're helping. But basically, you know, the people here feel that Mazón, the regional president, did far too little, far too late.
Very interesting. So you've got the president of the Valencia region having lunch with the journalists, questions about why he wasn't taking this seriously. You've got the idea of this national text system for emergency not being sent, questions around Pedro Sánchez there. When you talk to people there, and just seeing these live images as well, these huge protests in Valencia as well, what are people saying? Do they want to see resignations, or do they just want to see more answers about what went wrong? Is it transparency, or is it calling for people to go?
It's a mixture of all of that, Gavin, but I think the interesting thing is that the left wing scent blood. They do feel that Mazón is the main one responsible for this crisis and that he should go. And interestingly, all of the front pages talked about this lunch that was confirmed late on the day by the regional government. Basically, he was at a lengthy lunch on the day of the flooding, which didn't finish till beyond 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And he didn't get back into the office to do that emergency meeting with all sorts of people who were there to plan that emergency and its handling. However, people are also asking the self-evident question: if the ministers and the government in the central government could see that not enough was being done to handle that crisis, and they are responsible for the weather forecast system, why didn't they intervene? Now, today, the ecology minister, Teresa Rivera, who is going to go to try to get that top job on the ecological transition, also in Brussels, she had to answer the question as to why she didn't do do more. Now, she says she tried to call Carlos Mazón 4 times and she said that she could not get him to pick up the phone.
Sarah, great to talk to you. We'll talk to you a little while later because I know this protest is going to go on for a couple of hours. Speak to you soon. Sarah Morris, our correspondent in Madrid.